You've been taught to believe that your mind is something confined to your brain, a function locked inside the biological structure of your skull, processing information from the outside world like a machine. But that belief is not only outdated, it is fundamentally false. In reality, your mind is not local, it is not contained, it is not limited to the boundaries of your body. Your mind exists as an energy field, intricately woven into the fabric of the quantum field that permeates everything. Right now, as you listen to these words, your mind is extending beyond your skin, beyond your environment, beyond even the space-time continuum you believe you are inhabiting. This is not poetic metaphor. It is the unavoidable conclusion of modern quantum physics and advanced neuroscience. For decades, experiments in quantum entanglement have proven that particles can influence each other instantaneously over vast distances with no physical connection. What happens to one happens to the other, not because of proximity, but because of connection in the field. Your consciousness operates in the same way. It is not a byproduct of your brain. It is a participant in the quantum web of reality. Think about what this really means. It means that your mind is not passively observing a pre-existing, external world. It is actively participating in creating it. The reality you perceive as out there is not a static, objective truth. It is a simulation, an internal construction based on the interaction between your consciousness and the infinite potentialities of the quantum field. Neuroscience confirms this. Your brain does not record reality like a camera. It does not receive pure sensory input from an independent world and store it like data on a hard drive. Instead, it assembles an internal model of reality, a simulation, using a mixture of past experiences, memories, expectations, and emotional conditioning. You don't perceive what is real. You perceive what your brain predicts will be real based on your subconscious programming. And yet, most people walk through life completely unaware of this. They believe their experience of reality is objective, inevitable, out of their control. They believe they are simply reacting to the world, never realizing that the world they think they are reacting to is, in large part, a reflection of their own unconscious projections. Their mind is creating the very circumstances they believe they are trapped within. This is why your mind is not only non-local, it is also creative. You are not a passive observer of your circumstances. You are a participant in their creation. Your thoughts, your emotional states, your expectations, all of these are signals emitted into the quantum field, interacting with the infinite possibilities that exist there, collapsing some of them into the specific reality you experience. In other words, your mind is not located in your brain, reacting to an external world. Your mind is part of the quantum field, and through your focus, your belief, your attention, it is shaping the very fabric of the world you experience. The implications of this are staggering. It means that you are already influencing events, situations, relationships, and outcomes far beyond what you can physically see or touch. Your influence is not restricted by time, by distance, or by conventional causality. It also means that you are, in many ways, already living in multiple realities simultaneously. Each version of you, each potential outcome, already exists as a possibility within the quantum field. The version of you who is thriving, abundant, fulfilled, deeply in love, spiritually awakened, that version is not some distant future fantasy. It is a real, tangible potential that your mind can align with, access, and ultimately collapse into your lived experience. But there is a catch. Most people do not realize this, and as a result, they live in default mode. They repeat the same thoughts, feel the same emotions, and reinforce the same expectations day after day, year after year. And so, they keep collapsing the same version of reality over and over. Not because that is the only reality available to them, but because it is the only one they are tuned into. This is the loop. You think you are reacting to reality, but in truth, you are reacting to your own projected simulation of reality, which you created unconsciously based on past programming. And in doing so, you reinforce the same patterns, the same outcomes, the same limitations. But what if you could break the loop? What if you could step out of the automatic, unconscious projection and start creating reality intentionally? What if you could stop perceiving your mind as a passive receiver and start recognizing it as an active transmitter? A creative force capable of influencing events across multiple realities. That is what this video is about. Because once you understand that your mind is not local, that it is not confined to your body or limited by physical proximity, you can begin to work with it in an entirely different way. You can begin to create quantum events, specific intentional shifts in the quantum field that collapse possibilities in your favor, that draw experiences, people, opportunities, and outcomes into your reality in ways that defy conventional logic and causality. But before we get to that practice, you need to fully grasp this truth. Your mind is not in your body. It is not a slave to your circumstances. It is a powerful, creative participant in the field of infinite potential. And right now, in this very moment, it is shaping your reality, whether you realize it or not. So the real question is not whether your mind can influence reality. It is, how will you choose to use it? In the next section, we'll go deeper into exactly how your mind is already creating realities even when you're unaware of it, and how you can take conscious control of that process. Most people live their entire lives believing that reality is something that happens to them, that circumstances, relationships, opportunities, and obstacles are all part of an external world, independent of their internal states. But the truth, one that few are ready to fully accept, is that reality is not an independent force acting upon you. It is a mirror, a projection, a feedback loop that continuously responds to the energetic signals you are emitting, both consciously and unconsciously. Right now, without any deliberate effort, your mind is shaping your reality in real time. Every thought you think, every emotion you feel, every belief you hold, emits a subtle frequency into the quantum field, a vibrational blueprint that influences which of the infinite possible outcomes available within the field become your experienced reality. Your subconscious mind plays a central role in this process, while your conscious mind, the part of you that reasons, plans, sets goals, occupies only about 5% of your cognitive activity. Your subconscious is running the show, dictating approximately 95% of your perceptions, behaviors, and choices. And it does this based not on your conscious desires, but on your deeply ingrained patterns, your habitual thoughts, your emotional set points, your limiting beliefs, and your conditioned responses. So, when you say you want to change your life, to attract more abundance, to experience deeper love, to find purpose, but you continue to operate from the same subconscious programming, you inevitably create the same reality. Not because you don't deserve change, but because your internal signal hasn't shifted. The field is not personal. It is precise. It doesn't give you what you say you want. It mirrors who you are being. This is why so many people feel stuck, trapped in cycles that seem to repeat endlessly. The same kinds of relationships, the same financial struggles, the same emotional wounds resurfacing in different forms. They believe these cycles are imposed by fate, bad luck, or external circumstances beyond their control. But in truth, these cycles are self-generated patterns, reflections of the subconscious programs running beneath their conscious awareness. Neuroscience has shown that your brain does not distinguish between what is happening in your external environment and what is vividly imagined. To your nervous system, a strongly held belief or an intensely felt emotion is as real as any external stimulus. This means that your body responds to your internal states as if they are actual events, and in turn, these states shape the energetic signal you emit into the quantum field. Consider this. If you habitually feel anxious, unworthy, or powerless, your body will exist in a state of physiological stress. That state becomes your baseline frequency. And from that frequency, you unconsciously emit signals that draw experiences into your life that match those internal states. Not as punishment, but as feedback, as an opportunity to become conscious of the pattern and to choose differently. This is why your mind is always creating, whether you are aware of it or not. Every moment you are broadcasting a frequency and collapsing certain possibilities into form, while leaving others in the realm of potential. You are living in what some call a personal universe, a unique intersection of the quantum field shaped by your internal states. It's important to understand that this is not about blame or self-judgment. You are not at fault for the patterns you inherited from your family, your culture, your past experiences. But you are responsible for whether you continue to unconsciously recreate those patterns or begin the process of conscious creation. The first step in that process is awareness, to recognize that your reality is not fixed or predetermined, but fluid, dynamic, and responsive to your internal state. The field does not care about your conscious affirmations or your well-intentioned goals unless they are supported by an aligned emotional and energetic frequency. For example, you can tell yourself every day, "I am abundant." But if your subconscious mind is still programmed with scarcity, if your body is still habituated to the stress of lack, then your signal to the field is incoherent. The field responds not to your words but to your coherence, the alignment between your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions. This is why people who practice manifestation techniques superficially, focusing only on visualization or positive thinking, often find themselves frustrated. They are unaware that their subconscious programs and their habitual emotional states are overriding their conscious efforts. They are trying to create a new reality from the same frequency that created their current one. But once you understand this dynamic, everything changes. You begin to see that reality is not something solid and immutable, but something malleable and participatory. That you are not a victim of random events, but a creator engaged in an ongoing dialogue with the quantum field. You realize that the way you feel as you move through your day, your predominant emotional state, is not just a private experience, but an active force shaping your reality. That your beliefs about yourself and the world are not just ideas, but energetic blueprints, organizing your experience of life. This is the profound shift, moving from unconscious creation to conscious creation. From being someone who reacts to reality, to someone who recognizes that reality is responding to you. From being trapped in old patterns, to becoming a deliberate participant in the unfolding of your life. And here's the paradox. Even as your mind is already creating realities unconsciously, you always have the power to interrupt the pattern, to shift your frequency, and to initiate new outcomes. This is where the concept of quantum events enters the picture. Intentional disruptions of your current vibrational pattern that allow you to collapse new possibilities into form. In the next minutes, we will explore exactly what these quantum events are, how they differ from ordinary occurrences, and how you can begin to recognize them in your own life, not as accidents or coincidences, but as signs that you are already interacting with the field in powerful, creative ways. By now you understand that your mind is not limited to your body, that your subconscious patterns are actively shaping your reality, and that your energy is influencing the field whether you are aware of it or not. But here's the part that most people miss. You are already participating in what we call quantum events, moments where your internal frequency, your focus, and the quantum field align to collapse a possibility into a lived experience. A quantum event is not simply a coincidence. It's not just something that happens. It is a specific, measurable collapse of potential into form. The quantum field responding to your energetic signature and arranging reality to reflect your predominant vibration. You've experienced this before, even if you didn't recognize it. Have you ever thought about someone you haven't spoken to in years, only to receive a message from them hours later? Have you ever decided to make a change in your life, and suddenly the right book, person, or opportunity appears seemingly out of nowhere? These are not random events. They are the field responding to the frequency you have broadcasted. When your internal state, your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs, reaches a certain level of coherence, it emits a signal that resonates with corresponding possibilities in the field. That resonance draws those possibilities toward you, and when alignment is sufficient, they collapse into your experience as tangible events. This is what we call a quantum event, the intersection between your internal state and an external outcome that reflects and reinforces that state. But most people experience quantum events unconsciously. They happen sporadically, accidentally, often interpreted as good luck or bad luck, without realizing that these events are the natural result of their consistent vibrational broadcast. Think about it. If you live predominantly in a state of fear, your quantum field interactions will tend to collapse possibilities that mirror that fear. Conflicts, obstacles, delays. Not because the universe is punishing you, but because the field is neutral, faithfully responding to the energy you emit. Conversely, when you cultivate a state of trust, gratitude, and openness, you begin to notice that life seems to flow differently. You encounter synchronicities, opportunities arise effortlessly, and people who align with your new frequency seem to appear in your life. This is not magic. It's quantum mechanics in action, filtered through human consciousness. What most people fail to realize is that these quantum events are not isolated accidents, but reflections of their internal state, and more importantly, that they can be created intentionally. To understand how, we need to recognize that the quantum field does not operate on linear time as we experience it. All possibilities exist simultaneously within the field. The future you, the version of yourself who has already healed, succeeded, loved, transformed, already exists as a potential within the quantum landscape. When your internal state matches the frequency of that future version, you create a pathway for that version to become your current experience. The quantum event is the moment where your energy collapses that possibility into your reality. This is why change can sometimes feel instantaneous. One day you feel stuck, unsure, disconnected, and then, seemingly without warning, everything shifts. The opportunity you've been waiting for appears, a relationship transforms, an insight lands that changes everything. But these shifts are not spontaneous. They are the result of an internal alignment that has finally reached the threshold necessary to collapse the desired reality into form. Recognizing that these quantum events are already happening in your life is crucial. It means you don't have to wait passively for change. You can begin to participate actively in the creation of these events. You can become aware of the moments when your energy is coherent and when it is scattered. You can learn to stabilize the frequency that aligns with the experiences you desire. You can start to view every moment not as something to endure, but as an opportunity to emit a signal that shapes what happens next. Quantum events are not about forcing reality to comply with your will. They are about becoming so aligned internally that reality has no choice but to reflect that alignment. In the next section, we will go beyond theory and into practice. I will guide you through a process that you can use to consciously create quantum events, to shift your internal state, and to initiate outcomes that align with your highest intentions. This is where the power of understanding becomes the power of transformation. Are you ready to learn how to create quantum events, not by chance, but by choice? Let's continue. Now that you understand how quantum events are already shaping your life, often without your conscious input, let's move into the most important part of this journey: how to create these events intentionally. This is not about forcing or controlling reality. It is about aligning yourself so precisely with a desired possibility that the quantum field naturally collapses that outcome into your lived experience. Creating a quantum event begins long before the event itself manifests. It starts with the cultivation of an internal state that matches the frequency of the reality you wish to experience. This is why most people struggle. They attempt to change their circumstances without first changing their internal coherence. But the quantum field is not manipulated by effort. It is shaped by resonance. Here is how you begin. Step 1. Clarify your intention. The quantum field contains infinite possibilities, but it responds most directly to focused, coherent intentions. Your first task is to get clear on what you desire, not in vague, generalized terms, but in a specific, emotionally charged vision. What experience do you want to collapse into reality? What version of yourself do you want to step into? But even more importantly, why? What is the emotional resonance of that desire? Quantum creation is not about wishing or hoping. It is about choosing, declaring with certainty, "This is who I am becoming." The field responds to identity, not to begging, so your intention must be infused not with desperation, but with conviction. Step 2. Embody the state. Once your intention is clear, the next step is to embody the emotional and energetic state of the version of you who is already living that reality. This is where most people get stuck. They think they need to wait for external circumstances to change before they can feel differently, but the quantum model shows us that it is the feeling that precedes the event, not the other way around. If you desire to experience love, abundance, freedom, or healing, you must generate the internal state that corresponds to that outcome now, not as a fantasy, but as an embodied reality. Feel it in your body. Breathe it into your nervous system. Let it saturate your energy field until it feels more familiar than your old state. This step is essential because the field responds not to what you think, but to what you broadcast vibrationally. Your thoughts set the direction, but your feelings provide the fuel. Without emotional alignment, your signal is weak and incoherent. Step 3. Expand your energy into the field. With your intention clarified and your emotional state embodied, you are now ready to interact consciously with the quantum field. Visualize your energy expanding beyond your body, radiating outward into the space around you. See it connecting with the field of infinite potential, like a ripple extending across a still pond. This is not about imagining the event coming to you, but about feeling yourself as already connected to it, already inhabiting the frequency where that event exists. The quantum field does not separate cause from effect in the linear way we do. From the field's perspective, the event already exists. Your task is to become the version of you who is attuned to it. Step 4. Release and trust. Perhaps the most paradoxical and challenging part of this process is the release. Once you have set your intention, embodied the state, and extended your energy into the field, you must let go of your attachment to how and when the event will manifest. The quantum field operates on principles that transcend our linear notions of time and causality. Your task is not to control the mechanics of manifestation, but to remain in the frequency of the outcome, trusting that the field will respond in the most coherent and aligned way. This is where many people sabotage their creations. They return to doubt, fear, or impatience, thereby collapsing their energy back into the old frequency. The art of creating quantum events is the art of sustained alignment, maintaining the internal state even in the absence of immediate external confirmation. As you practice this, you will begin to notice subtle shifts, synchronicities, opportunities, insights arising seemingly from nowhere. These are the early indicators that the field is responding, that your energy has begun to collapse new possibilities into form. And here's the most empowering part. You can practice this every day. You don't have to wait for life to impose change upon you. You can become the deliberate architect of your reality, initiating quantum events through conscious alignment with the outcomes you desire. So now, as you reflect on this process, I invite you to choose a word that symbolizes the quantum event you wish to create next. It could be freedom, abundance, healing, love, or any word that encapsulates your desired shift. Drop that word in the comments below. By doing so, you are not only declaring your intention to yourself, but anchoring it in collective energy. Your word becomes part of your broadcast, a signal to the field that you are ready to collapse a new possibility into form. And now, let's move to the final part of this journey, where we integrate everything you've learned and explore what truly changes when you begin to create your reality consciously, through quantum events. When you truly accept that your mind is not local, that it is not confined to the flesh and bone of your body, but instead exists as a participant in the vast quantum field, everything changes. The way you see yourself, the way you approach your challenges, and the way you relate to the world undergoes a profound shift. You are no longer a passive observer, waiting for life to happen to you. You recognize that you are, and always have been, a co-creator of your experiences. an active force shaping reality through the energetic signature you broadcast into the quantum field. This awareness liberates you from the illusion that life is a series of random occurrences, dictated by luck, fate, or external forces beyond your control. You begin to see that your consistent internal state is what sets the tone for the circumstances that show up in your life. Your emotional set point becomes your compass, your vibrational alignment your guide, and your intentional focus the architect of your future. When you embrace this, you stop waiting for signs and instead become the signal. You stop searching for permission to change, and you step fully into the role of the conscious creator. And perhaps most importantly, you stop fearing uncertainty, because you realize that uncertainty is the very space where infinite possibility resides. Every quantum event you create reinforces this new identity. With each intentional shift, you rewire your subconscious patterns, expand your energetic capacity, and strengthen your trust in the process. What once felt impossible, instantaneous shifts, miraculous synchronicities, unexpected opportunities, becomes normal. Not because the universe has changed, but because you have changed your relationship to it. You begin to approach challenges not as obstacles to be feared, but as invitations to refine your alignment. You see delays not as denials, but as cues to deepen your trust and coherence. You notice that as your internal world stabilizes, your external world organizes itself around that stability, reflecting your inner state with increasing precision and immediacy. This is the beauty of becoming a conscious participant in the quantum field. Life ceases to feel like something happening to you and begins to feel like something happening through you. Your desires no longer feel distant and unreachable. They become natural extensions of who you are becoming. Your sense of self expands beyond the limitations of your past, beyond your conditioning, beyond even your current circumstances. And the more you embody this, the more you realize that the true power was never about controlling external events, but about mastering your internal alignment. The external shifts, the quantum events, are simply the natural consequences of that mastery. So as we close this exploration, I want to leave you with one final thought. The quantum field is always responding to you. Every moment is an opportunity to choose alignment, to adjust your frequency, to step into the version of yourself who is already living the life you desire. The question is no longer, can I create a different reality? The question is, am I willing to become the version of me who naturally experiences that reality? If this journey has resonated with you, and if you're committed to continuing your exploration of quantum manifestation, energy alignment, and the profound power of the mind, I invite you to subscribe to this channel. Here, we don't just talk about theory, we integrate it, we practice it, we live it, together. So hit that subscribe button and join this expanding community of conscious creators, seekers, and manifestors. Let's keep growing, keep aligning, and keep creating realities that reflect the truth of who we really are. Until next time, trust the field, trust yourself, and remember, you are more powerful than you've ever been taught to believe.